because on the policy, this is a huge issue that has long existed in terms of a division between certain parts of the Republican Party. And then also on the coalition, the political coalition. The president-elect won the popular vote in large part because he was able to put together these two very key components of the coalition. How long-standing and potentially harmful do you think this fight could get?
Let me just start with Kelly Kapowski, if you're listening.
Oh,
Hi. Number two, look, there's always been a push and pull on this in the Republican Party, and I think there's a way to work this out and solve it. I mean, I think what a lot of people would say is, and Elon Musk was making this point, if you take like the top 1% or the top 0.1% of the most talented engineering people from other countries, that's perfectly fine. H-1B visas for that, they're unique. They have unique talent, unique innovative skills, fine. If you're using the H-1B program to abuse it, to recruit, interns, accountants, other people that easily could be recruited from the United States of America, all because you just want to do it cheaper, that's not fine. So I think what a lot of people in the party want to do is eliminate the fraud in this H-1B program, retain the top engineering talent, and there's a way to do this. What Ramaswamy did yesterday was not a great communications exercise, and it did anger a lot of people in the president's coalition, and I think rightfully so.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about all of the drama that has happened over the past few days on X involving Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, and the traditional right MAGA base, okay? Because there is a lot of debate going on, and I'm calling it a debate, right? I'm not calling it infighting. I'm not calling it an implosion. I'm not calling it a civil war because let's be honest, right? Hopefully this does not break apart the MAGA base. I don't think this issue is so big that it should tear apart the MAGA base, okay? I personally think that debate is good. I think people openly discussing disagreements when it comes to certain issues is a good thing, okay? That's something that the left doesn't like, right? They hate disagreement, okay? You have to agree with them 99.999% or you're not on their team. I'm hoping that's not the case when it comes to MAGA, okay? And when it comes to this immigration debate, essentially what is going on is that Elon Musk talked about how this country needs to bring in the top 0.01% of engineering talent because there is a shortage. Now, some people in the MAGA base have called BS on this, and they said, no. We can't continue to take in more immigrants, right? We've taken in tens of millions of illegal immigrants over the past 4 years under the Biden administration, and honestly, we need a pause on immigration, right? And figure out what the hell is going on, okay? And then maybe revisit the topic going into the future. But as of right now, we cannot continue to take in more immigrants. And when you're talking about some of these so-called high-skill immigrants, a lot of these immigrants come in under the H-1B visa. They're not actually really high-skill. They're just here to take American jobs and to suppress wages.
I walked into a small conference room with about 24 highly respected fellow IT workers. The Disney executive made a harsh announcement to us all. All of you in this room will be losing your jobs in the next 90 days. Your jobs have been given over to a foreign workforce. In the meantime, you will be training your replacements until your jobs are 100% transferred over to them. And if you do not cooperate, you will not receive any severance pay. I was completely silent during this meeting, thinking how this was going to affect my coworkers. How was I going to break news to my family and pay all of our expenses? I would soon be living on unemployment. Later that same day, I clearly remember going to the local church pumpkin sale and having to tell the kids I couldn't buy any that year because my job was being turned over to a foreign worker. I started to think what kind of an American I was becoming. Was I going to become part of ruining our country by taking severance pay in exchange for training my foreign replacement? How many other American families would be affected by the same foreign worker that I trained? The first part of my 90-day period was focused on capturing all that we did with our jobs. We all felt extremely humiliated when the foreign worker sat next to us and watched everything that we did.
And it is not necessary to take in more of these individuals because they are high skill or they're geniuses, because we already have a visa for that. It's called the O1B visa, we already have a visa set up for the people that Elon Musk thinks that the country needs in order to be successful going into the future. Okay, that is the backlash against Elon Musk. And that turned into a whole lot of conversations about Indians and, you know, them coming over here, and it just evolved into a whole big thing. And when stuff like this happens, of course, nuance gets lost because people get overly emotional and they just tune each other out in regards to the core arguments that they're making, okay, and what people actually believe. Because for whatever reason, I don't think people are acknowledging that, hey, people like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, although they are advocating for more high-skilled immigration into the country, and again, in their words, they want more elite talent, okay? They are also for getting rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse that is existent within the H-1B visa program, in which Vivek got backlash for him saying that, hey, yeah, I want to reform the system because it's not merit-based. I just want a merit-based system and not a system that is essentially indentured servitude. Take a look.
Why would you have got the H-1B visa, which 70% of it is given to Indian people? I also believe that your company hired employees on this visa. So why are you turning your back on the Indian community, man?
So I got two answers for you. Thank you for the question. First of all, a lot of the people who have come here through the H-1B system would tell you, as I would, that it is just a broken system no matter who you're seeking to serve. For example, you want to talk about special interests and lobbying? This is direct Silicon Valley lobbying that said that if you get your H-1B visa and you're hired by one company, you're effectively like a slave. You can't switch to a different company. That's not a free labor market. So there's so much that's broken and bureaucratized. Here's the next question about the H-1B visa system is why the heck do we do it on the basis of a lottery when you could actually just select the very best people? So there's a lot that's broken about the administrative state, the bureaucracy. My general approach is when something's broken in government, you can't really fix it when it's lasted that long. You need to shut it down, start with a blank slate, and rebuild from scratch. And that's just a stylistic point that I've applied to this issue as to any other. Let me say a word about immigration policy more generally, though. You could imagine an immigration system that selects for the smartest people to come to the U.S. You could imagine an immigration system that selects for the ones who are going to work the hardest. You could imagine an immigration system that selects for those who love the United States or know the most about the United States or speak the best English. You could imagine any of those, and we could have a debate which of those is the right immigration system to have. Turns out none of those is the quality that our current immigration system rewards. If I were to ask you, it'd be a hard one for you to guess, but I'll give you a chance. What do you believe is the number one human attribute that our current immigration system actually selects for?
This guy next to me just said nationality, but I also just wanted to say really quick.
So I'll give you the answer to the question. I wrote a book about this. It just came out last month. The number one attribute that our current U.S. immigration selects for is your willingness to lie to the U.S. government. Because if you're somebody coming from another country and you say that I can't seek asylum or say I'm seeking asylum because I'm not facing a bodily threat based on my own race or religion, the qualities required for actual seeking asylum, then you don't get in the country. But if you show up at the southern border and check that box as you're instructed to by the cartels, whether or not you're actually facing that level of persecution, you do get into the country. So even drawing out of a hat and picking at random is still better than the system that we have right now. So my view on immigration policy is this. Make it real simple for you guys. Think about your nation like your body. Okay, no migration without consent. Consent should only be granted to migrants who benefit America, and those who enter without consent must be removed and must be punished. And I think that those are three fair principles around which to redesign an immigration system. And number two is important. If there are immigrants who are going to benefit America, I'm obviously partial to that as the kid of legal immigrants to this country. If there are immigrants who are going to benefit the United States of America, that should be the standard that we actually use. It just turns out that's not actually the standard we're using today.
Yeah, so I want you guys to understand how convoluted this conversation is. Because Vivek got accused of turning his back on Indians, okay, after he basically came out against the H-1B visa process, right? Basically saying it's a scam, that it's indentured servitude. We need to change it, right? Which is something that, hey, you know, the core MAGA base should agree with. But he's also being accused of essentially putting India first and I guess talking down to white people because he essentially criticized American culture. Take a look.
Honey, the girls are fighting. The girls are fighting.
So let me get this straight. So Vivek Ramaswamy, I mean, he just didn't write a tweet. He wrote a
screed. It was a screed.
Screed. I mean, it just went on, and he laid out basically, y'all white folks out here should have been focused on doing a little bit more Urkel than anything else.
Less Stefan.
You know, and it's just, Simone, I'm tickled. I'm tickled by this. Who would have saw this coming?
Tonight, as President-elect Donald Trump is preparing for a widespread immigration crackdown when he takes office 25 days from now, we're seeing a crack between some of his top advisors and his MAGA base. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are both facing major blowback from their own supporters for not only backing, but encouraging offering more visas to highly skilled foreign workers. Over the Christmas holiday, Musk posted this online saying, think of this like a pro sports team. If you want your team to win the championship, you need to recruit top talent wherever they may be. He later added, I'm referring to bringing in, via legal immigration, the top 0.1% of engineering talent as being essential for America to keep winning. He's talking about H-1B visas, which allow employers to hire highly skilled foreign workers. Musk, who himself is from South Africa, said that he once had this kind of visa, and he's arguing that Silicon Valley is facing a shortage of excellent engineering talent, as he put it. But the annual cap on those kinds of visas right now is at $65,000, with another $20,000 for those who get a master's or a doctorate in the U.S. Musk is being backed up by his partner in Trump's government efficiency initiative, Vivek Ramaswamy. He says it's a cultural issue that there aren't more competitive engineers in the U.S. Here's what he said online. A culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers. A culture that venerates Corey from Boy Meets World, or Zach and Slater over Screech and Saved by the Bell, or Stefan over Steve Urkel and Family Matters will not produce the best engineers. But that argument is not going over well with Trump's MAGA base, certainly not online. Some of them saying, we did not ask them to engineer an immigration policy. Tech wants indentured servants, not high-skilled workers. You don't even know what MAGA immigration policy is. Now, Trump himself, who I should note restricted H-1B visas in his first term, has said on the campaign trail this time around that he did want to make it easier for educated foreigners to work in the U.S.
What I want to do and what I will do is you graduate from a college, I think you should get automatically as part of your diploma a green card to be able to stay in this country. And that includes junior colleges, too. Anybody graduates from a college, you go in there for 2 years or 4 years. If you graduate or you get a doctorate degree from a college, you should be able to stay in this country.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Now, Vivek is getting a whole lot of backlash for his little pep talk, right? Basically telling the American people that we need to do better, right? That our culture has devolved and that we do not value hard work the way that we used to, okay? That's essentially what he's saying in a nutshell. Now, if he would have worded it correctly, I think that most people would not disagree with what he's saying. Can anybody really disagree with what he's saying, considering how when you compare our kids' math scores, science scores to kids in other countries, I mean, it leaves a whole lot to be desired. Like, for example, the U.S. placed 16th out of 81 countries in science when testing was administered in 2022. The top 5 math scoring countries in 2022 were all Asian. When it comes to science, the U.S. Was above average when it comes to developed nations, but at the same time, scored well below the top 5, which were all in Asia. So when you're living in a world in which we're now in a tech race, when you talk about technology, AI, we're competing with countries like China and Russia. What Elon Musk and Vivek are essentially arguing is that the best thing for America overall as a country to be able to compete in the future is to recruit the top talent now. And what they mean by top talent, I don't think they mean what I think normal people kind of mean as like top talent. Like, oh, you know, the kid that had A's and B's in school. No, I don't think that's actually what they mean. I think what they actually mean is like genius level individuals, like more Elon Musk, more Einsteins, more of those types of individuals, right? I think that's what Elon Musk actually means. I think that's what Vivek means as well, too, when they talk about making the immigration system meritocratic, as in only the top people get in here And that's it, right? I think that's what they are advocating for, okay? Because we do know that we all agree on illegal immigration. And that's why I think that this is like almost like a nothing burger, right? I think this is just, oh, people are bored over Christmas. There's no news. So let's argue with each other about something, right? But again, I think that's where they're coming at it from. And my biggest issue with Vivek is not his overall message, because I don't think he was actually really talking to any one race specifically, right? There's a lot of people that think, well, he was just talking to whites. No, I think he was just talking about America in general. But I think that there's some flaws in his thinking in the sense that jock culture or prom queen culture, in the sense that we value the socialites, the athletics, the non-academics, right? I think that's also a part of what makes America greater, or what made America greater than some of these other countries like China or India or Russia, is the fact that not only that we value academics, okay, we also value the jock. And that breeds the type of creativity that you don't see in some of these Asian countries that, again, are more academic oriented, more formula oriented, more numbers oriented, more process oriented, less creativity, less vision, less art. I think America had a combination of both, right? And that's what really made us great. And I think today, we don't value academics as much as we used to, because let's be honest, do kids really want to grow up and be engineers and mathematicians and doctors and scientists anymore? No, they don't. They want to be influencers. That's what they want to be. Okay. Let's not pretend that our culture doesn't revolve around OnlyFans and Hollywood and, TV and all this other stuff. Like it does. Right. So again, there's part of what Vivek is saying is correct. I just think that he worded it incorrectly, right? I think that if he would have came out here and said, yeah, we value the Cardi B's of the world, right, too much, I think people would have got it, okay? But I think that he just didn't use the right words, okay? Again, I don't think this is that big of a deal. I think this is something that's been blown up by the media, but it's a fascinating debate, and it brings attention to a huge problem I think that everybody can agree on, which is that our education system is broken, okay? It's broken. And we need to invest in the American people, which is what I ultimately agree with, right? I think that there is a solution here that we could all come to if we actually listen to each other on this issue and move forward. So I want to react to this clip here from CNN, them having this conversation, because this is all they're talking about now. They want to take advantage of the fact that there seems to be infighting in MAGA. So let's get into it.
I think it is revealed that there is some elasticity in the party on its ability to debate the immigration issue. Certainly there are hardliners on immigration who have supported Donald Trump. He himself has been a hardliner, but he has also said repeatedly, publicly, that he wants immigration reform, that he wants to do something for the Dreamers. He has also talked about the need for people to come in to the country to do certain kinds of things. And then you have these other new supporters of Donald Trump who understand that if you're just recruiting like the top 0.1% of the best and most talented, say engineers from around the world, that's probably a good thing. I think where there's great alignment is on the need to eliminate the fraud in the program. And I think some of these visa programs are being used to bring people in for no other reason than to displace American workers and to do things more cheaply. So I think the common ground and the way forward is bring in the people who are the goats, of engineering from around the world. Bring those people here, and then focus on American workers, American students for everything else. And that would be a good blend of how I think this is going to move forward.
Facts. I mean, I think that's a reasonable kind of middle ground where it's like, all right, we all agree that the H-1B system is a fraud, right? That it needs to be reformed. This is something that Vivek has admitted, Elon Musk has admitted. I think everybody knows this, okay? The traditional right agrees with this. What we all can agree on is that, hey, we need to invest in America, that American students need to improve, right? Like our students need to have better outcomes. We need to compete on the world stage with students from across the world, okay, that are currently outperforming American students. So we need to figure out a way to produce geniuses here, okay, in the long term. And that is the best thing that we should do to preserve our current culture, okay, and our way of doing things, because we don't want to turn our country into another country, right? And I think that's what Elon and Vivek are kind of missing here in regards to the backlash that they're getting, is that people are rightfully concerned about being replaced. People are saying, no, you should invest in us. We want these jobs. We want the opportunity to prove that we can be the geniuses, that we can do these things, okay? And we want good wages. We want fair wages. Now, in my opinion, I personally think that there should be a movement to bring tech to rural America, right? What I want to see out of this ultimately is a compromise that includes people like Elon Musk and some of these tech giants that are begging for this genius level talent. Hey, if that's what you want, okay, but you need to invest in rural America, right? You need to put some money into investing into the talent that we do have in this country, in parts of the country where they don't have these opportunities, which to me, hey, I think makes a whole lot of sense, especially when you're talking about reducing the cost of labor. Because let's be real, do you really need to pay a software engineer in Nebraska, right, or Louisiana, considering the cost of living? Are they really underpaid if they get paid $150,000 a year, which would be slave wages in San Francisco, California somewhere? But, when you talk about in rural America, hey, that's a good living, right? That's a very good living. So, yeah, I think that there's a lot of cheap labor available in the United States of America. I just don't think the tech people are looking in the right place. And again, I think that is where I'm hoping we can find some compromise, that Trump can bring everybody together and say, okay, listen, this is the compromise that we got to have here. We have to invest in rural America, okay? We want the top talent from around the world, but we also want to invest in rural America. We want to make the American people great, okay? And I think that tech should do that. I think they should have to pay if that's what they want. If they want the top talent from around the world, they need to make sure they're paying their dues when it comes to employing actual Americans, okay, from in places that don't get these opportunities. Investing in those students, investing in those people, which they can do, right? I want to see some Tesla schools open up in rural America, right? That's what I want to see. And that, in my opinion, is the compromise.
That might be the case, but Laura Loomer is saying don't bring Indians into America. I mean, she's pretty clear about what she's doing.
I don't know if she's watched many Bollywood movies, but not only are they very good, but they're actually a lot more modest than Hollywood films. So that comment was a little bit off base, but I think, what we're calling the tech right versus the MAGA right is really a long-standing split in the Republican Party between libertarians and conservatives. The Republican Party has been holding together those two groups for a long time, and they agree on about 70, 80% of stuff. This is a thing they've always disagreed on. Libertarians value economic growth and efficiency and free markets above all else. Conservatives go halfway there, but at the end of the day, will side with protecting American workers from foreign competition. So, you have to give credit to Donald Trump for holding those two coalitions together throughout the entire campaign so that this fissure didn't actually come to light until after they won. And now you're seeing it come to light.
Where did this...
Yeah, I think Coleman is spot on here. And this is something I talked about a lot, okay? The difference between conservatives and libertarians, because unfortunately, there are people who think that libertarians and conservatives are the same. And it's like, no. Conservatives value culture, right? They value tradition, okay? They also value free markets and things like that as well, too, but not over culture and tradition, okay? Conservatives are going to put culture and tradition over the free markets every single day of the week. And that's what you're seeing play out here. A lot of people, again, justifiably are saying, hey, we don't want to be replaced. We don't want traditional American culture. We don't want our people to be replaced by foreigners. And I don't blame anybody for saying, hey, I want to preserve my people, right? I want the people who inhabited this land, okay, since the founding of this country to continue to inhabit the land and going into the future. I don't see anything wrong with that. Now, people may say, oh, that's racist and blah, blah, blah. But you think about it. If black people come out here and say, oh, yeah, well, we want to self-preserve, right? We want to protect our own. Does anybody ever say that's racist? No. When Asians do it, nobody says it's racist. When Latinos do it, nobody says it's racist. But when whites do it, all of a sudden, racism. White people want to self-preserve. And I'm like, well, what is wrong with the white man saying, hey, we want to protect our own, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. They have every right to say things like that, just like every other race, okay? But again, the issue here is that, yes, you have people who are more libertarian-minded in their thinking, okay, versus people who are more cultural-minded, more tradition-minded in their thinking. And there's some clashes. But I think ultimately at the end of the day, there is compromise to be had here. And the compromise really is investing in rural America, fixing America's education system, and producing geniuses here. We have to figure out how is it that tech can partner with rural America, the Americans, again, who are the most concerned about being displaced, okay, the most concerned about being left behind, you know, in which, again, we have failing schools, lack of resources, things like that. How is it that we can bring those opportunities to rural America, okay, to revitalize those parts of the country? How can we do that? How can we partner with tech to do that? And if that's something that tech can do, if they can put an honest effort into doing that, okay, into cultivating talent here in the United States of America, in the short term, okay, cool. You know, maybe you get your top 0.01% of engineers along with reforming the HB1 visa system, right? But in the long term, we should be focused on American talent, right? And I think that's something that everybody should be able to agree upon, okay? So ultimately, you know, as long as we agree on illegal immigration, right? I think we all agree on that. That's what really matters. I think the legal immigration conversation is a conversation that's more nuanced. I personally believe that, you know, I'm in the camp of people who think we should take a little bit of a pause, right? And at least for a little bit, let's deport a lot of the illegals who came into this country and then go from there in regards to legal immigration. I think this conversation is premature, but I'm glad that it's happening. Ultimately, at the end of the day, MAGA is not a monolith. And Elon Musk clearly does not control the Republican Party, right? As you're currently seeing play out right here in front of our faces that, hey, Elon Musk is not the king. He, you know, everything that he says doesn't go. There's pushback. People will disagree. And again, that's healthy, right? That is healthy. And that's what you're saying here. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.